Wholesaling is the only endeavor that I've found consistently that you can get paid to learn. So if you're going out and approaching it correctly, I'm going to learn what a seller needs, what kind of problems they have that I can solve. And I'm going to learn why a buyer wants what they want, why it works for them, and why it works in this market, and how I can then leverage that later on. And I'm going to be, and then I get the profit for bringing that solution to the seller from the buyer.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, Todd Fleming, is a published author. One of his books, If You Can't Wholesale After This, I've Got Nothing For You. And he's also the owner of Fleming Consult. Todd started his business with only $11 and became a millionaire by age 30. Todd, welcome to the show.
It's true, $11, man. So if you're listening to this and you look at your bank account and it's more than 11, you're richer than I was. So you're already doing good. You're already rich. So start.
Hey, that's one way to get off the tarmac. And we were talking about that before hopping on the podcast here. You know, when you're at that point, it's legitimately sink or swim, and the sink is pretty close by.
Yeah, the sink is closer than the swim for sure. At that point, you can you can't touch the bottom at that point, right?
Now, when we talk about wholesale, and this is the space that I come from, and I'm a realtor as well now, so I work with retail buyers. Wholesale's changed over the years, right?
Yeah.
What
For
year
sure.
did you get into wholesale?
2014, 2015 is when I was full-time in it. And when I say full-time, I don't mean like, I was thriving and I was doing multiple deals a month or anything like that. When I say full-time I mean, I quit my job and I was like, I'm going to do this full-time. And then I had to figure it out. That was my idea of full-time. Yeah.
Hey, jump into the deep end. Did you have people at that point in time that you knew that were successful already in wholesale? Did you have mentors or people in real estate that you could call on?
Not locally or around me. There was a few guys online that I had found through trusted resources and through trusted networking groups that I was a part of. I had paid for, before I left my job, I was smart enough to pay for a few mentorship groups. And they weren't specific to real estate or anything like that. They were just specific for, hey, if you want to be in an entrepreneurial network, we're here. And it was anything ranging from, I would plug it, but it's not around anymore, unfortunately. So because it was awesome. It's just branched off into some different things now, but it was anywhere from like, hey, if you want to be in tech, like we have tech entrepreneurs that are willing to talk to you, real estate, any other kind of investment, any other kind of endeavor, whether it's brick and mortar or e-com or whatever, you had the ability to talk to people who were actually doing it. So I had the ability to talk to a couple guys through that community that had done it and that were proven. So that's actually how I got my start, was just learning from a couple other guys that were, not even friend of a friend, just contact of a contact, that allowed me to learn a little bit about the basics and just the foundation of like, hey, you need to solve a problem for a seller and you need to solve a problem for a buyer, and you have the ability to profit in the middle, even if you don't have any money. And that was the big key to me because I didn't have any money.
The wholesale game is the launching pad, I think, for a lot of careers in the real estate space. And at that point in time, it wasn't what it was years later. Was there, and I wasn't in the game then, was there this movement then online where everyone was a wholesaler at that point, or was this before then?
No, it was before then. Well, I saw that wave happen like 2018, 2019, especially 2020. There was a huge wave of like, this is the secret to get in, which is funny because I actually still think it's the greatest way to get involved in real estate and or business, frankly, because you're learning how to solve problems on two sides and get paid in the middle. And the best part about getting paid in the middle is wholesaling is the only endeavor that I've found consistently that you can get paid to learn. So if you're going out and approaching it correctly, I'm going to learn what a seller needs, what kind of problems they have that I can solve. And I'm going to learn why a buyer wants what they want, why it works for them and why it works in this market and how I can then leverage that later on. And then and then I get the profit for bringing that solution to the seller from the buyer. Like
Yeah.
there's not too many areas in business that you get paid to learn.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
So for me learning everything that the buyer wants, I get paid 10, 15, 20, 25, 50, 75 grand, 100 grand in a deal, right? And I get to learn everything that they wanted and why they wanted it and why it's beneficial for them and how that could be useful in the future. It's incredible. So I still believe wholesale is the absolute greatest way to get into real estate and or even just business in general.
General.
You're going to learn so many different avenues and you're going to learn how to communicate. That's the big one. You're going to learn how to build relationships.
No question. And the relationships are everything. We were talking about that before hopping on here. In those first couple years in the wholesale space, walk me through the deal flow. Walk me through the obstacles that you faced. And also, was there one, lead source that was more prominent for you than others? Was it foreclosures? Was it probate? How were you finding these deals?
So in the very beginning, again, no money. So I didn't have any leverage for paid ads, any forced attention, things like that. I did do some yellow letters early on, handwriting them myself, but I did a lot of Craigslist and just general networking and driving for dollars and things like that. Anything that was free, like if I could put a flyer on the door, I know technically it costs a few cents, but like anything that was generally free, those were the efforts that I was going through. And before the big wave, you asked what's some of the hurdles that we faced in the beginning. When we first started, before the wave of that 2018, late 2018, 2019, 2020 of like wholesaling's the way, people didn't know what it was. So if people didn't know what it was, what do they not do? They don't trust you, right? So the big thing that we had to overcome in the beginning was letting people know and being super, super transparent, super, super clear on what it is that we're doing, what's the benefit that we provide, and how it's beneficial to them and how it can help them out of their problem. That was the big thing for us, is like learning how to communicate that really, really well and really, really clearly. That way it didn't take a lot of words to do it. People would understand and trust and want to move forward with you to solve their problem. So it was always really focused on discovering and diagnosing whatever their problem was. That way we could prescribe a solution and then we could close. So that was the big thing in the beginning.
Yeah.
Advertising wise and like drumming up opportunity was exactly what we're doing right now. We're telling absolutely everybody what we do, telling people about the problems that we solved. And we didn't have a ton of focused marketing in the beginning, especially. It was more of a blanket approach of like, that house looks like it needs help. I'm going to go knock it. I'm going to leave a note on the door, whatever, try to get them to call me, text me, whatever. And then our first deal ever actually came off of Craigslist, which is hilarious. Craigslist still works today too, which is amazing. It's incredible that it's nuts to think that it still works as well as it does. So our first ever deal came from, it was actually a guy who did property management, but he owned a rental of his own. And then a family had moved out overnight. They just skipped out on him and then had trashed the place. And it was in a bad part of the neighborhood. It was been a rough part of Northeast Ohio. me being as green as I was like, I'll go there. I'll go, I'll go check it out. I'll go walk it. I wouldn't even drive down that street like today, knowing what I know. But like in the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, I'll go check it out. And it just so happened to be that the bigger problem that he had was like, hey, I don't want to clean this thing out and deal with it anymore. Like if you just want to sell it, sell it. And so ended up building a relationship with the guy. And then I was able to start locating about, at that time, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I didn't know that I should have a buyer first and I should have all these things lined up and like I can provide all these great solutions. Now we do. Now I don't even have to market anything publicly. Like if you're operating a wholesale business properly, you never even have to market publicly a contract that you have because you should have your buyers first. You should always be searching for properties for buyers, not buyers for properties. It's very different.
Right.
So in knowing that, at that time, that was one of the first times I ever located a buyer, and we were able to put the deal together and I made $7,500 on the first deal ever.
Richest man alive.
I was the richest 7,500 ever. Like I felt rich. Yeah, exactly. That was that moment which I went to the title company and checked my bank account before closing, and it was $11. I was like, oh no. So, and then the deal didn't close because the buyer, his license was expired, so he couldn't send the wire. So we had to do it on Monday. So I had to survive the weekend on $11. I'll never forget that. That was our launch pad. That was the beginning. And then our second deal was 2 weeks behind that, third deal a week behind that. And then we were off to the races then because we had done all the things necessary to drum up momentum. And that's when I learned that momentum is real and motivation's not. It wasn't that I was any more motivated. It was just momentum was there.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
That stretch from that time period, 2014, I would say like coming out of the housing crisis. So 2011, 2012, up until 2020, that was like the golden era of real estate wholesale. Am I wrong in saying that?
So I can see how people think that. And it's interesting because wholesaling is such a unique, like it's almost its own individual entity within real estate in general. So most people will be like, well, if prices are just exploding, it's hard to wholesale because the sellers are going to want more. Well, the buyers are going to pay more too, because they're also feeling that and living and experiencing that. So they're willing to pay more. So you kind of ride that wave. Now, when real estate is depressed and it's pulling back, people will say, well, it's really hard because the prices are dropping. Well, you're like, well, then you have the leverage to speak to a seller and let them know, like, hey, this thing is actually dropping by the minute. I actually can't pay what a market retail would be. And then your buyers on the back end already knowing, like, velocity is really important at that point. In my opinion, the hardest time to actually operate within wholesaling is when things are consolidating. And then things are just kind of like riding like a real consistent wave, like little ups and downs, little ups and downs. You don't really know which direction it's going to go, because then you have a lack of confidence from buyers a lot of times where they're going, I don't really know what it's going to do. I want to feel it out. You're like, well, that's the worst thing a wholesaler could possibly hear is I want to feel it out over a period of time, right? Because you're trying to get things done. And then on the seller side, you're going to them without as much confidence going, could be this or it could be this. What do you think? What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And that's when you really got to solve, like really, really settle on solving their problem. Because when the problem is large enough, the numbers go away. So you don't have to really worry about numbers a lot of times with sellers if you're solving a large enough problem and you're diagnosing it well enough.
Now, you got involved in the East Coast of the United States too. So you're in Ohio, but you got involved in deals in Jersey as well. We were talking about that before hopping on here.
Yep.
I've spoken with some investors in Jersey that invest outside of Jersey, but investing in Jersey is an interesting ball game. What are those deals like, and how are you finding those deals?
The only way that this works as well as it does is because of the relationships that I have with the people that are in New York City and Jersey and those surrounding areas. I have really, really good relationships with guys in those areas now. So let's say they're going to do a deal. The way that the way that these leads are really being drummed up, I should say, is through mass cold calling but it's specified in a way. It's not just like a general, like, hey, call everybody in the zip code. It's very specific to looking for a simple symptom. So we've had deals closed that have done really well, ranging from symptoms of empty nesters, which is a really unique approach. Like if you think about the symptoms of an empty nester, that's actually what you have to market to. It's not necessarily, hey, I'm looking for foreclosure or pre-foreclosure. I'm not looking for a divorce or anything like that. I'm literally looking for someone who's been in the house for probably 15 to 20 years. That means the kids are probably gone and or about to be gone, and then maybe they want to downsize, and you're having that conversation 2 steps before they even have it or even do it. So it's a little bit of a unique approach. But so cold calling and letters has always been our 2 greatest assets when it comes to listening for opportunity or having opportunity to come to us with an open ear.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
You know, as someone who was born and raised out there, I'm thinking of what the general perception is of the real estate industry. And as I'm really thinking about it, really right now for the first time, I almost think that cash offers would work maybe better in some of those areas than in some other areas with the right approach, because people just generally speaking live in the same home for forever. I mean, that home, especially where I grew up in northern New Jersey, most of those people, most of those families have been there forever, and they're either going to give the home to their kids or, like you mentioned, they're going to downsize. And so the concept of like finding a realtor, listing the home, putting it on market, it just seems like this huge hassle that is almost inevitably delayed until like someone passes away rather than it getting
Yep.
handled in their life.
So probate's a big one. That's our other that's so it's funny that you mentioned that one. That's our other big one. But as an example, that's our leverage point. You just said it. Hey, do you want to do this and have it be done now, or do you want to go through the process of sticking a sign in the yard and having everybody walk through the house? And then they go, I would rather just be done now. Great. And then we have our cash buyer.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about, I think specifically Jersey too, because I know the prices of Jersey, and I was in Texas. I
Oh
drove that a
yeah.
very middle class area in New Jersey where I grew up. And it was a $975,000 home. I think that same home would probably be somewhere around 425 in Texas, where I was at,
I'm sure of it.
and am licensed. And so it's different economies of scale. So people can kind of falsely think that it's impossible to do these deals out there, but with the right relationships, with a buyer in hand, you can make offers out there.
Here's what's interesting about that. As an example, we do me and my wife. When I say we, it's always me and my wife. We do everything together. She's our operations, and then she helps run the team. So we focus a lot on commercial today. We've been really, really focused on commercial for the past really 4 or 5 years. So we own a substantial amount of commercial space. Commercial medical is something that we focus on. Now, when I'm negotiating a commercial deal, it's all off the income, right? I'm going to be looking and negotiating for somewhere between a 10 and a 12, right? 10, 12, 13, somewhere in that range I can really, really work with. And it's funny, if I'm negotiating a deal in Jersey or working with somebody negotiating a deal in Jersey and we have to negotiate a 7% return or a 6% return for it to fly off the shelf because they're used to buying at a 3 or a 4% return. It's almost mind-boggling because they're like, "Oh yeah, I've recent example, 6 unit listing asking price 1.9 million, right? Thing loses money every month.
Yeah.
There's no way the thing underwrites, right? Swarm of buyers at 2.1 to 2.2 because they're used to buying at a 3 and now they can buy at a 5. And if they're buying at a 5, they're because what you can't do
Wow.
is you
Yeah.
can't like naturally in my head I go like, well, I wouldn't buy that.
No. Yeah.
Here's a huge problem in real estate. Like if you want to learn how to operate in real estate really well, if you want to wholesale really well, if you want to be a great investor, you cannot buy or underwrite every deal specifically for you and how you buy. you don't know other people's situations. So if I'm going to sell something, I need to go get opinions of people who actually want to buy that thing. So as an example, somebody might have $2 million in a tax burden that they got to get into a building. And if they can put it into the building and then do a cost segregation study and their tax burden goes away, would
Yeah,
you rather own a $2 million building or would you rather have a $2 million tax bill? Well, you'd rather own a $2 million building. So I
of
can't
course.
judge the guy who's like, hey, I got to get cash out and I need it out before the end of the year. I'm willing to pay you 2.1 right now because he'd rather lose 100 grand maybe in, he's not actually claiming a loss here. He'd rather be down 100 or 200 grand in a value proposition, but have something that is cash flowing because he doesn't have any debt on it versus giving $2 million to the IRS.
Cost seg is huge. I've
It
been hearing
changed.
more
It
of this.
changed our tax lives. Yeah, but we got to the point where I was really tired of buying the IRS supercars every quarter. So that's why I figured it out, and that's why we spent so much time learning about it and then implementing it and practicing it, and it does work extraordinarily well. Like they give you the code, operate and partner with them well. And if you operate well and if you abide by their rules, they will reward you for it.
I want to get a little bit granular here because I think most, especially newer wholesalers, aren't looking at tax strategy. When did
No,
you
yeah.
start looking? I know I kind of just started scratching the surface myself on tax strategy. I'm 2 years in. When did you start looking at tax strategy as something that was important, not just when you've got, a big IRS bill to potentially pay, but also before that, like at the beginning of the year?
It's almost a rite of passage. What I mean by that is it's the first time you get your bill that makes you want to throw up, right? And you're like, oh, I have to figure this out. So for us, it was the first time I got a $250,000 tax bill. The first time I got a $250,000 tax bill, I was like, I got to take the time to figure this out. Whether I get it down to zero or not, but I need to be responsible and understand like where these either burdens or benefits come from. And over time, as I learned, was assets have the ability to protect you in different ways than just like a normal income. So depreciation and amortization are both benefits of tax strategy. Depreciation is the cost or your operational expenses for a tangible asset, amortization being of a digital asset. So if I'm going to be able to look at my year, right? If I earn a bunch of money in the first 6 months or first half of the year, well, we're going to look at the second half of the year is how to protect that. So if we need to go spend $2 million on a commercial building and run a cost segregation study to ensure that we're able to keep the money that we've just earned and then be able to reinvest it later, great. That's going to be like what we're focused on. And that's a lot of what we do. And then if we're liquidating an asset and we're going to have a liquidation event, how are we going to protect that? Well, we're
Right.
typically going to do it through a 1031 exchange. Yep. But when for wholesaling specific and for wholesalers and people coming up, like if you're a single family investor right now, your depreciation is probably not large enough through one or two deals to like completely wipe out a tax bill if you're making good income. And for wholesaling, you're basically unprotected, right?
Yeah.
So that's basically the transition that we took because what I learned is if I did 2 deals a month, 5 deals a month, or 10 deals a month, it almost equaled out at the end of the year because my tax burden was growing in correlation with my profits. So that's how we started to transition out of like, all right, I'm only going to wholesale to, all right, I'm going to hold notes and have amortization built in. And then after holding notes, I'm going to own property. That way I have depreciation. And then the property is going to get larger as we grow. And then as the portfolio and the deals grew, our tax protections grew alongside of it.
Yeah, I mean, it completely, like you said, is a game changer. I mean, that moment that you get the tax bill and then you're like, okay, what do I do about this? And then you look back and you said, man, I probably could have been doing this from the beginning, but just didn't think that I needed it. I think that's probably how most people, like you said, get started looking at it. But then it also changes your perspective on all deals. Like you mentioned the
Yep.
commercial deal. Why would someone buy that deal? It doesn't underwrite for me. They've got the tax burden. And there's this whole area of real estate that is strictly like tax strategies, write off, depreciation, cost seg, that most of the time people, especially when they're just getting started, don't even concern themselves with. But I'm seeing now more and more, especially in the multifamily space, of
Yep.
opportunity here. And there's also in multifamily specifically some distress I'm seeing in syndications and funds with operators themselves. And the properties might be great, but they might have bought too deep, 4 or 5 years ago. So you combine all of these factors, and there's opportunities right now for wholesalers in some amazing markets, commercial, multifamily that we might be kind of threading the needle for that here right now.
Solve the problem. All you got to do is discover and diagnose the problem. If you discover and diagnose the problem, you can prescribe a solution. Like if you look at, I basically look at every conversation, every relationship as a doctor-patient relationship. If you're going to come to me and you have a problem, I'm going to discover to try and diagnose exactly what it is. I'm going to make sure that I repeat it back to you. You know exactly what it is, and then we're going to prescribe a solution. It's up to the person at that point, like especially in syndication scenarios, especially with, I mean, just even just recent history locally. There's been what people don't recognize is like in a syndication scenario, a lot of the times the investor and the person operating the syndication aren't actually aligned. So somebody who is investing is going like, well, of course they're aligned. They want to make as much as possible. They make their money on the fees, the purchase and the sale and the liquidation events.
Yeah, it's a great
So if they
point.
get rewarded for spending more, buying at a higher price, that's not aligned with what your return needs to be. And if they are not aligned in a liquidation event of the sale, as well, if they get further benefits for turning it over and not holding it, now your money has stagnancy to it in between deals. It's like you have to make sure that your syndication is even aligned with what you're looking to do as an investor. That's like whole nother level. But like to your point of, hey, these things of like threading the needle and are these opportunities coming down the pipeline for wholesalers? I actually believe so. But they have to understand how to talk to people. They have to understand how to communicate that. Like if I'm having a conversation with somebody and they have not necessarily a syndication, but some group of funds, a portfolio, a number of properties, or even just a single property, but it's large enough to like have a problem, like have a real problem for them. You have to be able to diagnose, hey, what is the actual problem here? Is if it was bought wrong? Is the debt wrong? Is it termed out incorrectly? Like, what is the actual weight here that is caused, like that's weighing on your shoulders? And how can we get that off you? And I can do that through my network of people who are willing to pay for it in exchange to solve their problem, which might be the tax burden, like the 1031 exchange might have, you know, the time limits that are on it. Maybe they're coming down to their time limit. Maybe they need to identify their last property, whatever it is.
Yeah, I
So you're
mean,
just pairing solutions with problems.
all of the above. And, they're, I would say predominantly when you think of wholesale, you think of like single family wholesale, investors who are doing flips, that type of thing. But this is another opportunity and the business pivots. And then also, too, just in multifamily real estate, commercial real estate in general. I mean, I'm licensed in Texas as a realtor, land wholesaling, infill lots, this type of thing to developers. It's a different game. But
You want to talk about quietly the simplest? It's land.
yeah,
Land and notes are actually quietly the simplest to wholesale, but people typically stay away from them because they just don't know them as well, or they don't think there's as much of a buyer pool, but there really is. All you have to do is change your language to whoever you want to sell to or whatever you're selling. So if you're used to doing single family home, change your single family home language to land, and then your
the
land buyers will show up.
the land aspect of it, yeah, you're spot on because when you think about who's the buyers for land, it's a set pool. So for realtors even to go out, they have to really be good at selling land. It's going to be a different thing. So they've got to have the developer relationships. If you've already got those and you're finding vacant land, and
Yep.
that person may have had that for who knows how long, that's a compelling offer. But
Nine
we
times
are
out of 10, the land buyer is stronger financially than the single family home buyer as well.
Yeah, that's right. If you're developing, right, it's a different type of buyer. We are
Mhm.
coming up on time here, though, Todd. Where can folks go? Where can our audience go if they're interested in reaching out to you? Maybe they've got a deal they'd like you to take a look at, or maybe they would just like your feedback on any number of things in wholesale.
Yeah, well, all the books, if you're looking for any books, looking for any resources like that, they're all on Amazon. If you can't wholesale after this, I've got nothing for you is the name of the wholesale book. There's a buy and hold book called If You Can't Cash Flow After This, I've got nothing for you. And if you happen to have little ones, okay, if you got little ones, we have a children's book. It's called Randy and Jay Takes Flight. And it's all about, it's a illustrated children's book. So to teach kids how to have a growth mindset and work together. So that's a really, really cool one. Me and my brother actually did that together. He illustrated it. So he's super talented with that. And then
Wow.
you can go to, it's just my name, toddmfleming.com. Todd M as in Michael, Fleming.com. And you can find all my stuff. Our socials are there. You can find any coursework. Like if you're looking for wholesale or if you're looking to join our community, you can join our community. And then we hold a mastermind call every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. So I think, man, dude, it's super affordable right now. It's like $297 right now, at least at the time of this recording. It's like $300 one time, and you can join our mastermind call every single Thursday. So that's for life as long as we have it. It's a one-time payment. That's it. So if you guys are interested in learning more, being able to interact directly, that's the best way to do it for sure.
Todd, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, my man.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.